my name is Catherine, and today I'm going to show you how to make the kind of scrambled eggs that you will learn to just crave. I'm not talking about the rubbery gross ones that maybe you grew up eating. I'm talking about the kind of scrambled eggs that just make you, I don't know, moan with delight. They're amazing. If you've never had scrambled eggs this way, I'm excited to introduce you to them. Okay, we're gonna just go ahead and jump in because scrambled eggs take a little bit of time. So I wanna talk while they're cooking. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna melt about a tablespoon or so of butter in my small nonstick pan, and I'm going to crack 4 extra large eggs into a pitcher, a bowl. This egg is not cracking. Oh my gosh. World's strongest eggshell. Okay, 4 eggs into something that you can mix them around in. I love using a glass measuring cup, but you could use a bowl, you could use a teacup, whatever. So I'm gonna be doing 4 eggs, which in theory is enough to feed 2 people, or if you're my teenage son, a snack. One time he made scrambled eggs for himself and made 6 eggs. So portion size is subjective, I mean, whatever. Anyway, the thing you want to do here is you want to use, I like using a fork because you can pierce the yolk. You want to use something that you can just stir them together until it looks homogeneous, until it kind of just looks like a solid mixture. And by this time, our butter should be gently melted. If it's sizzling, your pan is too hot and you need to let it cool down. A gentle cooking method is the key to good scrambled eggs. So if you're sizzling, take a minute. Take your pan off the heat, lower the heat, something. But you want it to have gently melted, which is what we have here. Then you're gonna add the eggs to the melted butter, and at the same time, you're gonna add in your salt. So for 4 eggs, it's ½ a teaspoon of kosher salt. And proportionally, you can scale this as big as you need it to be. So 4 eggs, a tablespoon of butter, ½ a teaspoon salt. You can do the math and do as many or as few as you'd like. In fact, in the blog post, there's a recipe, and I've given you a couple of different options. Mix it around to get the salt evenly distributed. And I love using a silicone spatula because you'll be able to scrape the edges once they start to cook. And it's just a soft stir, but you do want to keep stirring it. Now, I want you to look at what this looks like when we start. Honestly, it looks just like it did here in the measuring cup. There are a couple different stages that we're gonna go through, and the first is the eggs heat through, and I'll show you when we get there, but this is just, they should look the same at the beginning as they did in your measuring cup. So start there. Now while I'm waiting, I wanna let you know, I feel strongly about really good cookware. I think it's worth every dollar you spend. Nonstick pans are my exception. I have done everything when it comes to nonstick pans to try and get them to last a long time, and the truth is, they don't. So I have had the super expensive, really nice nonstick pans, and they have the same lifespan as the cheapy ones. So if you're gonna have to replace a pan, just get the cheap ones. These are the examples that I brought from my actual house. We have a small one like this, and a big one like this. This is like if one person's cooking, and this is for like Sunday morning eggs. These are from Target. They are 20 bucks each, maybe 25. You can also find them at home goods stores, but do not splurge on nonstick. If you scramble eggs every week, you're gonna have to replace that pan after a year. So I just buy a new nonstick pan every year. Okay, I want you to see the eggs now. They've kind of taken on, kind of like a liquid gold quality, like it's kind of watery, a little bit warmer, a little looser, but you're also starting to see like some white. This is good. This means things are warming up and we're not cooking them too fast. For the most part, you want to keep stirring constantly. You want to keep scraping the edges and moving the eggs around. Otherwise, if you just let it sit, you'll get like this sheet of cooked egg on the bottom, and that's not what we want. So we want to keep it moving while they're heating. Okay, next topic. You will notice that in my scrambled eggs, I have not added anything like half and half or heavy cream or I don't know what other things people add, whole milk, whatever. Eggs, butter for the pan, salt. It's really all you need. If you think you want to skip the butter, and I used to do it this way and just use like nonstick spray to coat the pan, you can. You totally can. But you and I both know that butter tastes better than Pam, and there's a certain richness and flavor that you're gonna get from using butter. Just try it once. You don't have to do it every day, but try it once with the butter and you will discover it just adds an element that I think is really important. But you don't need to add other dairy. I know that a lot of people swear by adding, add half and half or whatever. You just don't need to do it. You just don't. It's all in the method. It's in the slow cooking. It's in the constant stirring. It's in understanding how your stove works and what to look for. That is the secret to really good scrambled eggs. So we just keep stirring. You're starting to see, I don't know if you can pick this up, but you're starting to see some steam come off. That's a signal that the eggs, which I started with room temperature eggs, but the eggs are now completely heated through and the water that was in the whites is starting to evaporate. Like, these are just signals that tell you where you are in the cooking process. Now, what I'm gonna show you here for 2 people should take cook time from the time you add the eggs to the pan till they're on your plate, depending on a lot of things, but for me, it's about a 5 to 6 minute process. So you should know that if you start with cold eggs, it's gonna take a little longer because it'll take longer to heat them up. If you start with more eggs, if you decide to cook eggs for 6 people and you're doing 16 eggs or something, it's gonna take 20 to 25 minutes, as it should. That's not a sign that something is wrong, that's a sign that you're doing it right. So just know that really good scrambled eggs take some time. Okay, come back, looky here. Now we have some curdles beginning to form, and that's a sign that we have actually started to scramble. This is what is starting to develop as the proteins in the egg cook. So it's important to keep scraping those up, moving it around, and at this point we're probably like 2 minutes away from being done. So just keep going. Okay, one thing that I want to tell you just anecdotally that I've learned about scrambled eggs is, in theory, a serving size for scrambled eggs for one person is usually 2 eggs. Like, if I was gonna fry eggs, I would have 2. If I was gonna eat hard-boiled eggs, I would eat 2. When you scramble eggs, it's not that, I don't know, you get the same amount of eggs, but it feels like you should have more, particularly if you're feeding a group. So for my family of 6, if I was to scramble 12 eggs, in theory that should be enough eggs. But what ends up happening is it just seems paltry and not enough. Like, the portion sizes seem too small. Also, my teenage son, also we really love eggs. So what I end up doing for the 6 of us is I'm more likely to scramble like 15 to 16 eggs to make sure everybody has enough. It's like the more people you're serving with scrambled eggs, the more eggs per person you need to use. I can't explain the math of it, but that's how it works. Okay, we are in the home stretch. All of kind of a sudden, it goes from having a lot of liquid to all that liquid being gone, and you can see the soft curdles forming. At this point, it's important to take it off and remember that your pan is hot and it's gonna continue to cook. So if you set this aside while you get plates out and forks and everything, these are gonna continue to set. So you'll learn, like, maybe you take them off a minute before you think they're done because they will continue to cook in the pan. But these are perfect. And so I wanna show you, I'm gonna plate them up. I wanna show you kind of the serving size that we're talking about for 2 people if you use 4 extra large eggs. If you use large eggs instead of extra large eggs, it's more like 3 per person, but whatever. Okay, so this is what 4 extra large eggs look like. Now, I will tell you that I think these are perfectly seasoned. I do not think they need more salt. I think it's wonderful. I've tried a lot of different, quantities of salt, and I think this is perfect. Taste them before you add more salt. If it's too salty for you, then next time use less salt. But I really think these are perfectly seasoned. The only thing you're gonna need is just to finish them, if you like it, with a little bit of ground black pepper. And this is what perfect scrambled eggs look like. It's just simple, but it's one of those things that, like most things, there's a lot of bad versions of scrambled eggs. So these are the basics. This is what scrambled eggs look like. If you want the printable recipe, it is included in this blog post, and I would love to hear and see how your scrambled eggs turn out. Thank you so much.